So hi, everybody. Welcome to the largely virtual Portland Film Festival 2020. And we're here. You have just watched the wonderful film Running Naked. And we're here to talk to some of the lovely people that brought you that film. So my name is Michael Dunaway. I'm a former creative director of the festival. I'm editor-at-large at Paste Magazine and a filmmaker. So yeah, I'm going to ask some questions that I think are interesting. I'm going to try to ask some things that I think the audience might ask, since we're not doing a live audience Q&A, and we'll just get into it. So let's talk first about. I love that the film is a film that deals with, and Knowles says this will be good for you. That this is a film that deals with some pretty heavy subject matter, but uses, along with drama, uses some really great humor. And specifically with cancer, it made me, I don't know if anybody's drawn the comparison before, but it made me think of 50-50, which to me is a very positive comparison because I loved that movie. I thought it was really well done. But it's really kind of tricky to do humor, to mix humor with a serious subject like this. Do you want to, this may be everybody's first question they ask you, I don't know, but do you want to talk a little bit about finding the right tone?
Well, in a way, it came from personal experience, really. I don't know if you want to say that about
yeah, sort of. I mean, because the film, I mean, the writing of the films took so long, many years, but towards the end of it, I got cancer when my daughter, when I was pregnant with my daughter towards the end of the pregnancy. So I had a really interesting experience of being in cancer wards and getting tours around teenage cancer wards as well. That was upstairs from where I was. So I think out of the most horrendous moments of life, the best humour and comedy can be found. I really do.
We always said there was a moment when Jen was in hospital and her chemo rating or whatever it was really high, and we always joked that I like very pale women, and we came into the ward and she was there and she looked, very pale, almost blue, and she said, "Don't even think of it." and in a way, that's the thing. I think when you've the whole idea of terms of endearment, when people are going through shit times and they're all there and everyone is tense, that's a load of rubbish to me. If you're really close to somebody, you'll find humor even at the smallest moment and at the worst moment in time, and that's what we wanted to get over. That, and also I think it's nice that it was me and Victor playing with the two characters, but Jen helped in terms of the cancer side and the female characters and giving a balance. But one of the things that we really wanted to get over was a male relationship and how men don't really say stuff. And in a way, I think in the movie, they show their feelings but kind of don't as well. And I think it's the fact that that's an important thing. I don't know, Mike and Andrew, how you feel about that?
Do you know, one of the appeals for the script for me initially was that positive take on such a heavy subject matter, because it is. I mean, any film about cancer is so easy to just get led into a dark place or play to the sadness of it all. But there's none of that in this. I mean, there are moments, there's touching moments, and there's moments where you have to hit that. But I think with this, it was the positive side of it, and it was about the friendship, and it was about living each day to the max, really. And I think, I guess that's what comes out when you're looking at the cancer diagnosis or stuff like that.
Yeah.
What did you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, that's again the thing which attracts you to a project like this is the script, is the unique take on something that still is a universal tragedy that families deal with. And the statistics of cancer is, unfortunately it's on the rise, and statistically how that's happening to people today in every household is crazy. So it's to see a film like this, it kind of gives a universal feel of how we deal with such hard times. And you know, we're all facing hard times at the moment, and it's nice to watch a film that, yeah, it's like, you know, my experience as a northerner as well, especially, is when something bad happens in my family, we tend to, you know, push on until we can joke about it, basically. And that this film really does epitomize that.
I think it also is one of the films for our time, I think, because I think it's the idea that the NHS, the National Health Service, is the centre of it. And and when we made the film, the idea of you washing your hands a lot and having OCD wasn't a cool thing to do. Now everyone's doing it. So I think the idea there's a spirit and a positive spirit behind it, and I think that was epitomized by Mike and Andrew in the movie. And I think the fact that they knew each other beforehand and were friends was so important in this film, because that they are mates and they look like mates, and that's important as well.
I love that you brought up the geography too, because I know that Ireland is not the same as the North, but north of England. But there's one of my favorite books is The Lords of Discipline, and there are these 4 roommates in a military school and military college, and they at one point they go through this big ordeal that they just barely come through with their lives, you know, and one of the roommates is Italian American, and one of the narrator is Irish American. And the Italian American, as they're on their way home from this harrowing ordeal that they went through together, says, you know, I love you guys. I wouldn't have done any of that shit for anybody that I didn't love that much. And I'm going to love you forever. And the narrator says, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't stand any of you fuckers. And I hope we never have to do that again. And then the narrator says, not out loud, but says in the book, we had said the exact same thing and we both knew it. I just thought that was so great. Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of what you're saying about how men of certain cultures express themselves one way and men of certain cultures express themselves in quite a different way. But it's the same emotions, right?
Yeah. I think like with Mark and Ben as well, they've both been through the same thing as teenagers, but they've dealt with it in completely different ways, and not the best way, to be honest. But the one thing that remains consistent from when they were ill as teenagers to the end of the film is that their friendship, you know, and how close they are, and it's easy to play that on screen when you're working with someone like Andrew. You know, so it was like, you know, we had a great time on it, and we did, you know, like we knew each other beforehand, but not really well, but we kind of, you know, we'd worked on a job before and met a couple of times, so there was an easy chemistry. But then to spend the amount of time that I did with Andrew, and we have really good friends now, aren't we?
Yeah, we speak. I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually was one of my next questions that I wanted to ask y'all. Actually, is that you know, it's not completely rare, but it's uncommon that you spend a film in such proximity and such. I mean, the film really is about the two of y'all. Not there are other characters too, but the two of y'all have a really intense time together and on screen and in front of a camera and all that kind of thing. And I want to hear from each of you what kind of unique challenges that generally poses, and you know, did you hate each other at the end of the day and that kind of thing?
Hey, it does.
I've just got an image in my mind now of sitting in the back of a car after we'd been wrestling in the lake with a tinfoil blanket around us, just in our underpants. Absolutely, it was freezing as well, and I just remember we were in Mike and Victor I can't remember, in front or back, and they were like that, and we were just like wrapped up in these foils, like, yeah, we're all right, it's fine, everything's fine.
And there was a bloke smoking weed on the beach, wasn't there? We couldn't get rid of him.
Well, there's those fishermen, weren't there? When we got onto the location, there was like three or four fishermen in the area where we were shooting, and we had to clear them off, and they weren't particularly happy about it, were they?
Somebody bought them a crate of beer to appease them to get them off the beach. So,
Now that's great producing, Andrew. That's great producing.
I tell you. I have to say, yeah, it did help that England reached the semi-final of the World Cup that summer as well. So that did help the bonding experience with everybody on set as well. We were filming the semi-final during a very important.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
I had to make you film, Mike, at one point, and I remember.
And I could see how awkward you.
I went with you though, didn't I? So at least together.
Well, go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, no, you go.
Well, I was gonna say the trying to get the person off the beach and all that. Actually, y'all are perfectly dovetailing into all my questions here. I understand that this was a film that had quite a large budget, and you had cranes and huge trailers and personal masseuses. And no, I understand that this was a true ultra indie, project of love. So why don't you tell, a lot of the people that are going to be listening to this Q&A are filmmakers, and a lot of them do make very, very low budget films. And so I'd love to hear you talk about, about what that was like, and maybe some tricks that you used to try to get the most out of what you had, and whether you agree with John Cassavetes' famous dictum that the lower the budget, the better the film.
John Cassavetes is a real big hero for Victor. So in a way, as an approach to the film, the idea of the way I would start it as a producer who isn't creatively involved is making sure you get great actors. That's the first thing. And
so then when you weren't able to do that, what was your next
and in a way,
I'm joking. What I mean is
it all went wrong. It all went wrong.
I would only ever say that in a Q&A if I didn't absolutely love both the performances, and if I hadn't already established that everybody involved was a total smartass. So no, I loved each of your performances, but keep going, Michael.
No, I mean, I think I got a core of actors across the board who I knew, and even Tamsin, who played Sarah, introduced me to Andrew, and then Andrew and his agent introduced me to Michael, and that's the way I think that whole idea of a team, building a nice team, is really important. I think beyond that, if there's any sales agents that are listening to this, the film costs $5 or $6 million, so that's how much you have to pay for it. But
I was taught a trick. I was taught a trick once. That the answer is always it was under 10 million. I mean, it was 50,000, but 50,000 is under 10 million. It's go ahead.
For us, there was a goal number one is I wanted to make the film, and that was really important. And I think after a while, when you've made a few films, I've managed to produce a few films now, you do get trust of people who know that whatever budget you're working to, that you're working on something with a good heart to it, because they know what you're aiming towards. So that's the key thing, because there's lots of people that we'll work with again. And one of the interesting things that we did here is that, I work out of a university in Staffordshire. So we used a lot of the resources at the university as well. So that made a lot of the money, and it may not have been on the glamorous things on this film, but it was things like through accommodation and through food and equipment and all that. That helps make what's on the screen look a lot more. So I think that was a unique approach. And also I think because we didn't have any of the usual UK funding bodies, it gave us a freedom to make the film that we really, myself, Victor and the guys really wanted to make. And I think, and I think what a lot of people have come back to us on the film is they say it feels really real, if that's not a cheesy thing. And I think that grows out of that, the fact that, we all were, even though we had really difficult times in bringing this film to the screen, and also actually, the performances, it was a hard thing to do. And I asked, and Victor asked a lot of the guys, but we were coming from a place where it meant a lot. It was, obviously we come back to what Jen was saying about her story. Victor had gone through traumas and all that kind of thing in making the film, but it was always with this humor in it. So it's that idea. It goes back to the Cassavetes quote. Yeah, you keeping it real and keeping, you know, playing with a straight bat with people. Don't give any people any bullshit because they can smell it a mile.
Yeah. Either of the actors have something from the actors' view on the low budget nature?
I mean, we're all in the same boat, so it was like you just want to make the most out of every day. So every scene and every location, you kind of speeding things along, you know, and you like you want to make the most out of every moment, and it's like when the scene at the dog track. You had all like there was no extras there. That was just like that was just all the people in the dog track. So we shot that moment where we win the money about how many 5-6 times, but it was always coordinated with an actual dog race. So all the people there, and some of them didn't really know that we were making a film, and they were just like, "Fucking hell, they're winning every time."
They probably thought you were a mob.
They were like, "Who the fucking hell's Hope Eternal? And why didn't I bet on Hope Eternal?" I mean, one of the beauty for me is that since I kind of left acting school, drama school, I'd always said to myself I wanted to do something that is fundamentally like the script is the Bible, and then everything else. There's no tricks. There's no, as you say, large cranes, no big trailers. Everybody's in it together. I've never done that. I've had the luxury of, doing TV, which nowadays feels quite, luxurious, and you're in several sets, and you're not allowed to rehearse, you're not allowed to take your costume home, you turn up, you do your thing, and there's one too many extras that you don't even get to speak to. Whereas on this job, it's kind of the purity of the script shines through, that everybody on set, whoever's on set, wants to be there, because they're not there for the money. So they're there for
what are you saying?
And that's why everybody was on board, and that's why when Tamsin approached me, and when I spoke to Mike about it initially, our thing isn't this a terrific script, and doesn't the friendship speak volumes? So when that was the beauty. That's something I've always wanted to do as an actor, to come onto a project and to just kind of have the script in its purest form, and not have loads of outside influences affecting the performance.
Sometimes the more money you get, you just spend it on the same things but paying more.
Money, more problems, as they say.
Exactly.
But in a way, the nice thing is when you're dealing with something when you haven't got as big a budget, is them when people say, "Have you got any more money?" You can go, "No." And that's it. Do you want to do it or not? Do you know what I mean? And that way, that people who are on it are on there for the trip because they want to be part of it. And the number of people who said that I read the script and I was really moved. And I know somebody, or we screened the film in Beijing, and we got this great feedback of these guys saying, "I've not spoken to my friend for 30 years and I'm going to call him up now," in Chinese,
Well, it's a beautiful film. It's a film filled with such heart, and I think I'm going to say what I said about another film yesterday. Actually, it's an ennobling film. Watching this film is an ennobling experience, and I feel honored to have watched it. I feel honored that we were able to play it, and I hope this is just another step towards a ton of people seeing this beautiful movie. And thanks to all of y'all for making it and for bringing it to the Portland Film Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care. See you later.